less assisted. You want to show that you are a leader. You want to show that you take control of situations. You want to show that you've done work in that position. All right. So contact information. So these are the essential sections. Contact information, your full name, your phone number, your email, and a LinkedIn. So LinkedIn, great. Don't do QR codes or anything like that. Just list them one after the other. You don't need to add your personal address in there unless it is otherwise stated. Sometimes there's government jobs that do ask for that information, but otherwise you can leave your place of residence out of that. An objective, 2 or 3 sentences that would summarize your experience and your career goals. So if you are looking for a systems analyst position, or if you're looking for a cybersecurity administrator position, something along the lines that orients your career experience and shows that you are ready for that experience and how that relates to your career. So that's just a short, quick, top of the page just to catch their eye. Work experience, you're highlighting your relevant job roles. So like I said, working summers, picking up trash, stuff like that, sometimes might not be relevant to what you're looking for. And it might lengthen your resume unnecessarily. So that brings us into skills. We're including technical and soft skills. So even if you have a job, like my current position, not very technical, but I can relate my leadership skills and my soft skills or power skills to that show I can problem solve, that show I can collaborate, that show I can come to a solution with or without assistance. So I might not be a technical person, but I can show that those skills relate to the job position that I'm looking for and what I'm doing to become more technical, to bridge that gap. And then lastly, the degrees and certifications. So if you don't have a lot of work experience, you could definitely move that education to the very top, right underneath the summary. That way, that's what's in their mind. You're working on your degree, you've earned your degree, you have that knowledge base. And then you would tailor your work experience to kind of show how you are benefiting from that. Also certifications and awards. So as you're going throughout your degree, you should attain a level 1 certification from Alamo colleges if you're working on that associate's degree. We have plenty of opportunities for you to get involved in like Coursera or different Google certs that you can add to that as well. And so that would be alongside that education. And that just shows that you are putting effort in to do those things while you're in school or while you're working. You can also add things like your NCL, that competition, any awards that you get from that, and highlight that as a significant achievement. All right, so how to present your work experience effectively. Focus, of course, on your most recent and relevant jobs. We do recommend reverse chronological order, so most current, and then you're working your way down. That way you're showing what you've done most recently to highlight those skills. So of course you would include the job title, the company name, dates of employment. A lot of times I do see that either like smushed together on resumes or you just put years. Definitely include at least the month and the year. You don't have to remember the exact day you started. You can. Sometimes for certain jobs they do want an exact day that you started. So it is good to have that on your resume. Also listing as that job as full-time or part-time, can benefit you for certain positions. Lots of government jobs do ask which jobs were part-time and which jobs were full-time because they're adding that experience together. So certain industries, you have to qualify for a certain amount of experience and they count part-time as only like a half credit. So you keep that in mind. So also emphasize your accomplishments. If you cleaned up the database system for the company that you were at, list that. Not just your duties of filing paperwork or getting things from point A to point B, that's great, but you do want to list things that you have accomplished at your job as well. So what you've taken a lead role in, what you've improved, stuff like that. And then of course quantify those results. So as part of that SMART method we'll cover in a sec. Oh, STAR, sorry, I said SMART, I'm stuck on the SMART scholarship, guys. So using the STAR method helps you structure how you present that. And so this is a really good way of if you don't know what to say in your resume, or if you don't know how to phrase things, it's a really good mind exercise to help you figure out how to write those statements on your resume. And so it breaks it down into 4 parts. So situation and task can kind of be put together on that. What challenge or context did you face? There was a overwhelming amount of paperwork. I had no idea how I was gonna do that. And what was your responsibility? I had 3 to 6 months to file this paperwork. And then what steps did you take? I put a team together, I allocated my time appropriately, I scheduled meetings, that kind of thing. And then the outcome of that. And so I processed this paperwork, or due to my scheduling ability or due to the assistance I received, I was able to complete this in 3 months instead of 6 months. So I saved the company, this much time, that kind of thing. So taking those for every single one of your bullet points that you currently have will definitely help you expand your resume. So how to use that? That's mainly in either the achievements or that work experience situation. And then you can use percentages. I'm gonna mute you all guys. It's kind of echoey and loud. I'm so sorry. Y'all can unmute if you have a question, but it's really echoey, sorry. But yes, so same thing that we had on the previous slide. You can use percentages, you can use numbers, you want quantifiable data. And so if you don't have those, I wouldn't necessarily make them up, but I would really think, I would look back on past projects and kind of find numbers. You can find dates, you can find months, you can find I went from 0 to 200 in this amount of time, that kind of thing. There's lots of different methods for quantifying those results. And so here's a good example of one that you might have. I assisted, I managed, customer support. Very, very basic, but you can add a lot to that. So if you were leading a team, you could say you were working with a team of a number to resolve technical issues. You can say you had a set number of issues. And then you can also say what you did to implement that action, which is, make a new ticketing system with that team, and then quantifying that. So you reduce your response time by 25%. So making those bullet points a little bit longer, a little more in depth to show exactly what you did is definitely showing employers a little bit more about yourself and a little bit more about how you handle situations. All right, so like we talked about, keep that resume 1 to 2 pages long. So there are a few circumstances where this might not be the case. Certain government jobs, they want you to put everything you've ever done. They don't care how long it is. I've actually completed the portal, and they'll just let you keep typing. It's not as formatted as a traditional resume. They want to know as much as possible about each single job that you've done. And the more the better, honestly, for that. But for most traditional, like outside corporate jobs, keep that 1 to 2 pages. You know, if there's a cover letter requirement, or if there's essay requirement, of course, you can add those in there. Use a professional layout. Don't go overwhelming on the colors or the fonts, you know, keep it very, very simple. There's a ton of templates on both Word, there's some on Canva. If you need help finding those, or if you need help formatting, you know, let me know. Sometimes those templates are a tad tricky. Once you start trying to move stuff around. Avoid jargon or overly technical terms. So yes, you can add those in there. I would add all your certifications, but I do not just need a list of skills. I've seen some resumes where it's just 1 page of like bullet points of like just technical terms, and that might mean something to certain employers, but most of the time your resume is not going to a technical person first. It's going to HR, it's going to an administration type role. And those people wanna know, those people don't always know exactly what all those terms mean. I know a lot of resumes are put through like those, you know, the systems that just kind of read everything nowadays. So that is a good thing to include a lot of those technical terms, but don't just list them in a bullet point or a paragraph that just has like commas and, you know, just a bunch of technical words that doesn't really benefit you too much. And then of course ensure consistency in fonts, bullet points, and spacing. I've seen a few resumes where it's like Times New Roman and Calibri and like different fonts and different stuff, because you've changed it as you went along. At all, you know, always definitely make sure you highlight the whole document. You know, highlight everything, make sure they're all the same size and make sure they're all the same font. You know, everything except for your name at the top. There's not really a reason for you to have too much, you know, something can be bold for sure, but you don't really need too much on the like different fonts. That doesn't benefit anybody. And then of course, including a strong opening summary, like we talked about at the beginning. How this meets your goals, how you want to help them, how you see this benefiting both you and the company. Okay, and then resume mistakes to avoid. Of course, typos and grammatical errors. Even if you think it has 0 typos or grammatical errors, let somebody else read it. They might catch something you didn't. You might have typed and, or you know, spelled something wrong. You know, something you think in your head that you've read it 1,000 times, you think it's right, but it's not. It's easy to make that mistake. And then being too vague about jobs or achievements. Definitely include at least 3 solid bullet points in there that give a description. Like short, like 2-word bullet points about your job duties is not really gonna get you anywhere. Those applications get thrown out. And then overloading with irrelevant information. Just like we talked about with all those technical terms. I know, or based on that, I guess you can do it. I'm not really sure. You just gave me a word. You just gave me, you know, servers. Like I don't know what that means exactly. You need to focus on how servers relates to that employment position. And then not quantifying accomplishments or lacking clear results. So that goes back to the STAR method. You definitely want to show how what you're doing at that position relates to benefiting the employer, benefiting yourself, that kind of thing. And then using an unprofessional email. Don't use GamerGuy, you know, 2001. Make a new email, has your first and last name in it. That definitely does not look super professional. And then back to the beginning, looking at that job posting, you can have a few different ones. You don't have to necessarily make a new resume for every single job. You can have one for analytics and one for management and one for administrators, but making sure that you have you know, a general resume for each of those positions because they are very diverse and they are very different. Definitely benefits you. And of course, like I talked about, using keywords, of course, does help. But not every single word, not just copying and pasting it. And then using the star examples to kind of match what they're listing in that job description. All right. I think we covered most of this. Okay, so of course, a great resume with a clean format can help using that STAR method to restructure your resume is definitely a benefit. And then, every once in a while, every few months, taking a look at your resume and updating that will definitely help keep it up to date. If you've received any certificates, if you've done any certifications, and then maybe something new at your job you can add to that resume. So for now, let me stop that. Are there any questions?
Okay,
go ahead. Ready.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
I have a question. Say your GPA is not as the criteria. Should you still try to fill out the scholarship?
I would say yes. I would and maybe explain why your GPA is if they do have a section about that. Explain how you're in classes right now, what your current average is in those, and how you're, reaching to bump that up in the future. So you might not make it for that one scholarship, but it does give you practice and, honestly, sometimes scholarships don't have that many people apply to them. And they might make exceptions. We've had scholarships where we've had 20 to give out and then only 19 people apply. So, we kind of hand those funds out based on, do we think they deserve it? They did put a lot of work into this application, that kind of thing.
What if you fill out a scholarship and you don't know if it's going to be accepted or not, but you put the criteria? How do you find out the status of your scholarship?
Typically, if it's through us, that would be, asking Ms. Barnett if you qualify, if you're missing anything, if there's something you didn't quite meet. I wouldn't recommend lying to adjust that in any way. That's definitely not advisable.
I applied for a scholarship that I did. I did all the criteria. I was good. I was good with all the criteria, but I didn't get no feedback on what's the status of the scholarship.
Unfortunately, sometimes if it's like a government one, something like that, they have hundreds of thousands of applicants. So you might not always get feedback on those. If it is something more local, I wouldn't harass anybody, but if they do have like a general email, you can definitely shoot them an email and say, hey, I'd love feedback. Or I was wondering if I met the qualifications, that kind of thing. Okay.
Thank you.
There's lots of scholarships that unfortunately feel kind of anonymous sometimes. But yeah, any other questions? I'd also like to go over Handshake a little bit, as well as LinkedIn.
So if anybody has an account, please make sure to sign into that if you want to compare. And this is a hands-on activity lab portion. If anybody wants to compare to what she's going to be showing you. And to get to Handshake, it's in your ACES accounts. Everybody has one assigned from Alamo Colleges.
Yes, so everybody does have automatically assigned a Handshake account. So if you are in ACES, it will be under your student tab. And then you just scroll down here, the same place Alamo Experience is in.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Thank you, Ms. De La Rosa.
Of course. And so this is what your homepage will look like. Can y'all see the handshake?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So this is what a handshake will look like. You can, there is an individual profile for each person. And so you do the same thing, you show what you're looking for. I filled mine out vaguely, I think I need to go back and update this. You add your education, you add your courses, your organizations, individually. Sorry guys, I have a more updated one on my there's what's file. But then you get a specific feed for yourself. You get specific jobs based on what you selected. You get, specific career fairs, employer events, and so these are specific to the Alamo colleges. There are employers, there are just different organizations that host different things that go through this as far as for jobs, for internships. So there are a lot of people that do look for internships on here. Those do show up. So most colleges have this, A&M has it, UTSA, so it is a big college-wide resource. So it's very, very similar to LinkedIn, but it is specifically for college students. And so you'll see, sometimes you'll get generic emails saying, hey, we'd love you to apply. Sometimes they're not generic. You should check this regularly. Don't be like me. You should check this regularly and to see if there's actually positions that are being offered. Sometimes they will see your profile and they will specifically message you. I believe Ms. Mora has had that happen to her on Handshake in the past as well. So you can sort things individually by jobs. Of course, you can select full-time, part-time, remote, and so these are meant to be more for students. And then of course those events. And so it looks like they've just added the people thing. So it looks like it's a little more similar to LinkedIn now, where you can connect with individual people. So that would be people across the colleges. So anybody that's registered with a Handshake should be accessible in here. You'll see everybody is from different universities. So very, very similar to LinkedIn, but geared towards specific resources for you. And so we do look at this every once in a while and pull events for y'all. And we do, promote those as well. So if they're not here, we'd like y'all to attend other events as well. I know our career experience team also posts events in here as well as in Alamo Experience. But yeah, any questions on Handshake? Does anybody have a Handshake? Or have they filled out their profile?
Haven't done a lot on, has a lot of information on it that's like relevant to what I've done so far, so.
So it's the first time seeing
Oh,
this.
okay.
Laura, have you mentioned the profile? You just wanna show the profile one more time?
This is
Yeah,
automatically updated, that's kind of crazy.
It automatically updates, yes,
That's really nice.
based on what you put into it.
yes, so yeah, mine's a little not updated. I need to add the rest of my stuff in here, sorry.
So the organization, like for example,
You
your,
can even put
Yeah,
projects,
cyber strikers on
yeah, you can put cyber tigers in there, yes.
yeah, you can add projects, you can add volunteer stuff, that is all relevant. So it gives you a place to put a location and a description, so even if you don't have work experience necessarily, you can add your current education and then organizations or projects that you've participated in. If you've done, a research paper, or if you've done like the SVG grant, those are things that you can put in here. I don't think it has a space for pictures or anything, but you can add description. And it also looks like you can post to your feed, kind of like Twitter or LinkedIn, so you can
So what's
add
that?
those things in here now.
There was a question from a student, can they put their competitions in there?
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
So I mean, you can put that under a project. I mean, that one's kind of open-ended. You can put it under organizations or projects with that. So just, I would do Cyber Tigers and then NCL as two different things. You know, just to give yourself some variety, add some depth to that profile.
Did you hear that? So both of them.
Logged in. Sorry.
Miss Mora, would you like to speak on how to read some of the government applications and apply those to a specific resume?
Yes, ma'am. Happy to do that. Hello for everybody. I'm Caroline Moore, the Bachelor's Applied Technology Program Director, for those who are in the room with me and for those who are online. So a lot of items are going over that STAR method as an example is very, very much important. If you go to the if you go to the USA Jobs website, on that website, there's a section on there. When you scroll down, they now have it organized by starting your career, exploring career fields, and federal hiring process. As students, I recommend what you do is you go to just starting your career section. And then in that section, if you want to look for the starting your career section, there's different information reference to different types of trainings that they have, and different agencies hold different fairs, as you can tell. There's HHS, IRS, US DOT as an example. Every single agency has the opportunity to host their event. The way it works with USA Jobs, it is a portal for all agencies who are connected in DoD side. There's different types of, there's intelligence agencies. It's a separate portal. That's going to be your intelligence careers. For USA Jobs, some of those agencies do have positions on there as well. So with that stated, you are looking for positions as a student. There's a section specifically for you that have positions if you're under your associate's program, positions if you're in your bachelor's program, positions if you've just graduated with your associates or your bachelor's. There's also positions where you can also work just in the summer. And there's positions where you can work during the school year, only up to 20 hours a week. By law, that's all they can allow you to work. So those are the positions Laura's showing you here, the pathways position, et cetera. When it comes to clearances and cybersecurity, clearances are very, very important. So there is a section on clearances here in the USA Jobs portal, and it discusses about the background check, how that process works. Basically, if you're getting just a TS clearance, or just S is for secret, TS, sorry, is for top secret. And SEI is your segmented compartment method. So without giving too much information, summarized is based on the work that you're doing in the workforce on behalf of the government, you get access to certain portions of information based on your mission. So based on what the mission is, you have to be read in to those components. And so you have to first pass a background check to show that you're validated and being trustworthy, that you're going to protect our nation. But in addition to that, what Laura was talking about, the PATH method, the STAR method helps you out to go ahead and demonstrate how you're fit. So that's your first step. So that resume is what USA Jobs looks at. Now, if you don't know how to get started with the federal resume, that's what's called a federal resume. USA Jobs also has a section where you can build out your resume and the template that they have. And then what you do is you tell them, I want to make it public or not public. And based on what you're doing with them, you can also allow outside entities to see that resume as well, who have a connection with USA. And it's all permission-based. Everything's permission-based here. They don't sell your information to anybody. They don't give it out to anybody. This is a government portal that's shared with all. In addition, if you go to the search, scroll up to the top, please. If you go to keywords there for under internships, you go to the search button. You can type in, for example, cyber, and then you can put the location that you're interested in. Say you want to have a remote job, just put down the word remote, and those are the online positions. And when you do that, it's going to give you everything that's remote based, if there's anything. So here there's 12 positions. On the
Maura?
right-hand side, yes?
Can you discuss especially the symbols and what those mean?
The symbols, there's a page on that. When you scroll over, it will tell you what the symbols mean, but from the home page I was on earlier, we'll go back to in just a minute, I will answer that question. On the right-hand side, on the hiring path, right here on the right-hand side, you have appointment type, department of agency, hiring path, location, mission, critical, pay, etc. On those icons that are on the left, on the right, there is a itemized specs where you can select what section. So for example, if we're not with the government right now, we want to click on open to public, right? But as a student, if there's a student position available, there is going to be an icon here for students. Are there any military or ex-military veterans? There's ones for y'all for under armed forces. If you're a spouse of a military veteran, there's one for spouses. If you are a student with disabilities, and you have that paperwork, there's another pathway for you under disabilities as an example. So disabilities, military veterans, military spouses, students, and anyone who's not a student, open to the public when you graduate, you can still go ahead and use this tool. So those are some of the hiring paths. The ones showing up on the right are only the ones that came up that are in alignment with the jobs on the left. So if we remove the word remote and just keep it as cyber only and do a search again, it's going to search everything and it's going to change that filter to 368, as you can see there. So then if you go to the right-hand side again, if there's any student positions, see how it came up with student and grads? So there's 9 student positions and 4 recent grads. Laura's going to check on both of those. And that's where it's going to filter out based on what's available. So you need to look for the icons of the people for open to the public, the book for students currently in school, and the graduation cap for recent graduates. In addition, when you're going into these portals, you're looking at the position. There's 3 important information to look at. Number 1 is always a summary. The summary will tell you the organization that USA Jobs, that position is open towards. So it tells you some of the requirements. You click on learn about the agency. It will open up that window and you can learn about what they do. See how it opened up right here? So the organization is AFMC. It tells you the location and it tells you their headquarters in Eglin Air Force Base, Florida. Sometimes you'll see the headquarters at a different location than where the position is at. So it's very important you take a look at all that information in whole, because sometimes the headquarters are the people who are the ones of determining their personnel, who they're going to hire, and then they're sending people out. And this is for civil service positions, not enlisted officer positions. These are civil service positions. Below that, if it's a recruitment for students, they tend to have videos on here. And sometimes these videos will direct you to another website, like the Air Force Civil Service website. AFCS is an external partner. That's a second resource for you. In addition to USA Jobs, they also hire through AFCS website. And the AFCS website, you do not need to come to Apply Texas. You just load up your resume and then somebody will call you. And when you scroll down, the second important section is going to be duties. So under duties and requirements, duties is where Laura was talking to you about the STAR method. You want to make sure each of your resumes line up with that position. So you're going to have various types of resumes that you'll want to create and save based on different types of positions and different types of skill sets. On requirements, those are requirements for the position, your baseline position. And qualifications, that portion is very important because that will tell you how they'll hire you in. GS7, GS9, GS11, GS 12, 13, those are higher paid positions. You're looking more of 3, 4, and 5 at the beginning right now with your associates. With your bachelor's, you can do 4, 5, 6, 7. For your bachelor's, some people who have workforce experience plus your bachelor's sometimes can get a 9 position, even though they don't have a master's or a PhD, because they have a combination of workforce experience and academia experience. Series positions, if you scroll back up, Laura, one more item is by series. If you do a search by series, you go back up to the search bar again. And there's 2 series we typically fall in for cyber. And if you type in 2210, that is the series of information technology management, which is 2200 series. That series right there, all the positions there, a lot of them don't require a degree, but they do require a certification. So that is why at St. Philip's College, we tell you, we request that you work on a certification, specifically Security Plus, before you graduate. So when you graduate, you already have that Security Plus started off to get into these positions in 2210 series. The second series that follows cyber is the computer science series. And you don't have to have a degree in computer science. It has to be an IT, information technology, or computer science, but they emphasize on having those 15 to 18 hours of math and science and computer science programming courses. Your cyber does get included as part outside the 15, but the base is what they're looking at. And that information is there if you were to do the scientist positions there. And then again, you have the icons that was asked about earlier. You see some of the icons are different. You want to see what the icon names are, go to the right. You can see what they are again. If you want to itemize it by location, you go to the right, you click on location, you pick the locations that you want, on-site, off-site, and same thing with pay and series and so forth. If you only want some with no clearance requirement, you go to clearance and just don't check TS or TS-SCI. So you can filter the complete research portal to give you information only on what you want versus having to see all 300 of them and going through each one. So that filter to the right is very important to use. But prior to doing any of the job searching checks, I recommend you get an account first, and then you start creating your resume template in Alamo, for school, in the Alamo Jobs, and USA Jobs, and Handshake, under Handshake. And then Laura has not mentioned LinkedIn yet. So she'll talk about LinkedIn in a minute. I'm gonna pass it back to her in a minute, but LinkedIn is also another area. So you're kind of gonna repeat yourself several times, but just think of it as marketing yourself in front of different people, because every single type of portal, different people access. Sometimes one person might access 2 or 3, like when I'm hiring, I can access 2 or 3, but there's a chance I might only stay on 1. So you want to think about the hiring managers, right? They're gonna look at different areas, and not everybody has access to USA Jobs. The other thing I do want to recommend and let you know, you do have to be a US citizen to get a lot of these positions for USA Job specific. Candace, any other questions?
No, that was perfect. Thank you. I know that those USA Jobs are sometimes hard to kind of navigate, as well as identify what you can actually, apply for.
Thank you. Happy to have.
And once you do find your ideal search, you can also, if you make an account, you can save individual searches. So you can have one for computer science, and you can have one for cybersecurity, and those will send you emails based on frequency that you choose. So daily, weekly, monthly. So if you ever forget to apply for jobs and you're looking for them, you'll get the newest batch of positions that are open whenever you get those emails. So you don't actually have to come in here and do the search every single time. For computer science in San Antonio for students, that'll populate a generated report for you to your email. All right. Was taking me a sec to log into my LinkedIn. Okay, I think I did find it. Okay, so as you can see, I definitely have all my stuff filled out. This is a great place to put information, add your current experience, where you're going. And then, of course, there's a whole bunch of stuff you can buy. If you did, apply for the Microsoft Last Mile Scholarship, I believe you got a free year of LinkedIn, like Pro or Premium or whatever it's called. So make sure to get that. Writing this statement is just the same as writing that statement on your resume. So just a good general statement as far as what you're looking for or where you're going, or what what you wanna do, what are your goals. So people do read these, people do go through your resumes. I do see a lot of student LinkedIn's that have like just your just your name and nothing else, that you went to St. Philip's in 2013 and no jobs or anything after that. So even if you're not working in the ideal position that you wanted to be in, definitely include your experience in there. It lets you add bullet points. I have fleshed out mine, a little bit, and update those semi-regularly as well. So you don't want it to be too cluttered, but you definitely want people to see that you have, stuff in there. I have all my education, I have my potential grad dates, I have certifications, I have skills. And then I follow companies that are relevant to what I'm looking for. So anything from employers to we were associated with PNC through BIS for a while, City of San Antonio, local businesses, general businesses, of course I follow Alamo colleges because I work here, but just companies that are associated with what you want to do and where you want to go. And also people that are related to those positions. So if you click on any of these, they're gonna give you jobs. So this will take you to, USA jobs. But it'll also give you people related to those positions. And so you can't always connect with everybody. Some of them are closed off. You don't want to go just following everybody. Let's say I want a job in human resources. I would follow the human resources people in this department. And this connection will lead to potentially another connection, stuff like that. And so also recruitment services, you can message recruiters on here individually. We've had people that have come to our seminars, Mr. Stewart, the diplomat of Texas with the SMART program, the Foreign Affairs program. He said that you can follow him on LinkedIn and reach out to him if you have any questions. That's his best method of contact. So sometimes you might not get an email, but you will be getting a LinkedIn that you can reach out. So you want to make sure that your profile looks professional. So when you are looking or reaching out to these people, that your stuff looks like you're ready to go, you're ready to be hired. You might as well not have a LinkedIn at all, I guess, if you're not going to fill it out. It looks pretty bad when you log in and your last, entry was a job you had 10 years ago. So at least go in and at least list the job positions and the timelines for that if you don't want to add in all of the stuff, all of the the bullet points, but those can be copied from your resume relatively easily. But yeah, so I think that is all for LinkedIn. Does anybody have any questions about LinkedIn?
Moving on to really thinking about, guys, as you're starting to move through your degree, you're starting to move into the workforce, this is a really good time to start cleaning up social media as well. One things that surprised me when I came on board at St. Philip's, I have worked for the state of Texas. I have been a teacher in a classroom, but I had never in my life had a social media audit done as part of my background check until I came to St. Philip's. So if you don't think that people are looking at your social media, they are. They're looking at your LinkedIn, they're looking at your Facebooks, your Twitters, your Instagrams, they're looking at all of that. So really start cleaning up maybe some pictures that you aren't so proud of from high school and junior high. Start trying to make a brand for yourself. If you're particularly interested in getting a job with a company or a department that works with the state or the government, research that organization, like them, follow them, look at what they're posting, understand what they are about, really study places' websites, understand what their mottos are, understand and learn what their quality is, their culture is, the history of the organization, because those may actually be questions in interviews. Do you know what the history of our campus is? Do you know what our pillars of success are? These are all questions that they may ask you in interviews that are tailored specifically for their jobs and their organizations. So, really study applications, study job postings, study the websites, do your homework before you go to interviews. Because if you can't answer those simple questions, a lot of times jobs will think that, well, you didn't even have time to look at us and kind of learn about us. Why do you, even want to come and work for us? So that makes you stand out in interviews when you can answer those questions, that you know the history of a place, or you know their mottos, you know what their philosophies are, you know what their culture is. So really do your research.
Also, one more thing on that subject, a little bit about LinkedIn. You just like Handshake, you can post stuff. So the competitions y'all are doing, I mean, of course, get permission from your fellow students about posting their faces on your profile, but taking a picture of your screen or stuff you can show about the competition will highlight you as an individual. It makes you more well-rounded. So this is stuff you're not necessarily putting on your profile, but it is linked to you as a person. So when people scroll through your posts, I read a great book. It doesn't necessarily have to be technical related or related to your job, but stuff you're interested in, stuff that might lead to a position. If you go to the ISSA information meetings, something you learned, a quote, all that makes you look more well-rounded as a person. You network, you're attending events, you're going to things, you're participating, reposting things that you were involved in also definitely helps. That is technically social media in its own form, but you're able to tailor it a little more professionally.
No questions from the,
Any
Have any more?
questions, guys?
no questions from the group on LinkedIn.
Alright. Do y'all have a LinkedIn?
Yes, but
Yes,
it's not,
they do.
it's not up to snuff.
Okay. Is it up to date?
Very, very not. My handshake is more up to date.
Your handshake is more up to date. You can copy and paste a lot of the stuff over. Even if it's generic, it doesn't have to be super in depth for anything. I would really, really, really recommend just having something in.
I mean, I see several cyber tigers in there. One of the things that y'all can put, guys, on your LinkedIn, some of y'all are officers in there, I see. That is something that you could sit and post on LinkedIn. Proud to announce I'm the new Cyber Tiger president, or I'm the new, PR or secretary. And those are things that your fellow Cyber Tigers can then go and like, and y'all can create a network in yourselves. And then that also shows evidence that that is not you just making up things, if that makes sense, because you want to have validity behind your posts as well. If you're celebrating an accomplishment, try to get a screenshot of it. That's why a lot of times you will see, Laura, go to my LinkedIn for a second. We had one of the advisory board members take a picture last night in front of the building after the advisory board meeting. You know, we didn't give him really anything that he could, you know, use, but he used our building as saying, hey, I'm a part of this new board. So he is advertising something that he has accomplished simply by taking a picture and showing, hey, this is what I did. And he made sure to tag people within his post that were a part of that program. He tagged Miss Mora. He tagged myself as verification and evidence of he was a part of this procedure, this event, this workshop, whatever he was a part of. He made sure that he tagged key people in that as proof and evidence.
Yeah, I mean, we also look for y'all as graduates. We like to keep up with our SPC alumni, and a lot of times, you know, other than emailing you or calling you, you don't have anything posted there. We'd love to recognize your accomplishments. We do have things like a top 50 list. And we try to keep that up to date by year. And sometimes we don't have anything to update because our current batch of graduates don't post about themselves. We don't know where you went, we don't know what you're doing. We would love to celebrate your accomplishments in different things. For sure. And you know, having new positions, we want to celebrate that you got a raise or that you got a promotion, that kind of thing. We love having our alumni, you know, be involved in all that stuff. So adding that to your profiles is one way to do that, you know, making those connections with us now and then keep that moving forward.
And really think about when it comes to these scholarships that a lot of y'all are applying for, they want that LinkedIn address and they want you to insert those into those scholarship forms because they're researching you too. It's also a way to authenticate who you are. So make sure that your LinkedIn pages are up to date. Also, make sure, guys, that your photos are appropriate on your heads. Okay? Make sure that you have an up-to-date photo as recent as possible. Make sure it's clear. Make sure that you are dressed appropriately. Make sure that you look good. Sunday best kind of thing. Okay? That way you can put your best foot forward from a visual standpoint.
We believe that they did ask for headshots, so we'll be coordinating that with PR.
Yes.
Yeah. But yeah, if you have any specific questions or if you want to share your profile in the chat, you can definitely do that. We do breakout sessions. If you want to talk to somebody one-on-one.
Don't share yet. Wait for them to stop recording, then you can share. There's a student who wants to share their what they worked on throughout the class today,
The handshake.
the handshake and so forth.
Okay, so it's already updated.
I just don't know if we want to have that part recorded.
Yes.
Oh, I can stop recording.
Yes, I can pause recording. And
I can't
One,
share my screen because I'm not
2,
on the Zoom.
3.
No, you are in the Zoom right there.